Good evening to all our viewers and welcome to the Wednesday evening edition of Plus Sunset, the evening show. Welcome, how are you all this evening? And today you'll have myself, Randolph Bhoodoo, and joining me is Jevon Joseph and Camille Moore. How are you all doing this evening, guys?
Great. Really have not much to complain, but then who am I going to complain to?
Camille, it's midweek. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm waiting for Friday.
You're waiting for Friday. There are just two more days. So what are we chatting about this afternoon, this evening?
Oh, we have a whole lineup. So we're going to start off with, you all heard that Tobago Jazz is back on, right?
No, I didn't.
I got confused because somewhere, it could have been last week or week before, it's like it was off, they were cancelling it. And then stop the presses, today they're saying it's back on. It's happening. And THA, that's the Tobago House of Assembly, is not taking part, but a Trinidadian-based promotion company called Black Two Sugars
What's that?
will host.
Say that again, Camille.
I said what I said.
What's the company's name, Camille?
Two Sugars.
Why is it pause? From what I'm seeing here, Camille, it looks like Black Two Sugars.
I prefer that space, so it'll make sense in my head.
And base.
So when will it be?
That's a good question.
It's happening in February in 2025.
No, I got the impression that it's back on for April.
It's April this year. Remember I told you
2024.
I didn't know it. And if I'm being honest, I've never been to a jazz festival. Not for want of trying. Have you all ever been to a jazz festival?
I have never had the opportunity.
Oh.
Not here. I've been to one in Grenada already, so.
Okay.
So I have yet to experience actual Tobago Jazz
All right.
Festival.
I think it probably would have come down to the Chief Secretary, Fali Augustine, who probably would have led the chair in terms of making that decision to bring it back on. But do you think, based on your knowledge of it, it's a sustainable event?
Well, we know with what happened, right? THA tried to pull out saying that it's not sustainable. But
Right.
then Kelvin Morris, right, Tobago House of Assembly minority leader, challenged the executive council into providing the evidence, right? And one of his main concerns was that, are they saying this so that a private entity could come and take over, right? And basically push out basically the Tobagonians.
Right. Because the concept of Tobago Jazz, if I'm getting it correct, is not that we have jazz players in Tobago and they're highlighting them. Like if it is we have Calypso in Trinidad. It's that Tobago is a destination. Everybody wants to go. It's a small paradise, so you're bringing international performers in the jazz industry. So how I'm a bit confused. How could one say something like that is not sustainable? It's not to say it's a niche market like Calypso in Trinidad, which that argument can be, something for. But if you are marketing this as, okay, Tobago is a catch of the Caribbean, small paradise, little crime as compared to Trinidad, and you're bringing these performers from different parts of the world, how does something like that become not sustainable?
Right, because I'm thinking that's going to be a boost for not only Tobago's tourism, but the island's tourism on a whole. So you can't tell me it's not sustainable and we're actually putting ourselves out on the market, because we know of St. Lucia jazz festivals, we know of other jazz festivals within the Caribbean region.
Yeah.
So why not have Tobago starring as well?
Well, I would look at it this way. So we have Carnival here in Trinidad, and then we have events. But it is the promoter's responsibility to bring outside entertainers.
Yeah.
Now, with the Tobago Jazz Festival, it is basically up to them to spend to bring these artists. How much are these artists charging?
Right.
Right, because this was outside, but we know the incident with Bruno Mars. Not Bruno Mars, sorry. This guy.
I know who you're talking about.
What's
In
his
the
name?
rain.
Yeah. He was paid.
He was paid, yes.
Because the rainfall, they got a piece of performance.
With umbrellas.
Exactly.
With umbrellas, yeah.
Right. So is it that when you look at it, because of the jazz festival, it have to be totally funded by the THA?
Yeah.
Right. Do they have the funding to do that?
But then, it begs the question, where are our corporate sponsors? So I don't expect THA to do everything on its own. You'll have some sort of government subsidies, but shouldn't our private sector, shouldn't they get in on the action? It's for everybody.
Ms. Camille,
But
we
you see,
we
at the
all
end of the
know,
day, you know
we
that,
all
yeah?
know, we all know that corporate in Trinidad, unless it is the big boys like the Angostura, the Star, the Carib, right? I mean, and these are the names they constantly hear: Angostura, Star Carib, and stuff like that. I mean, corporate, from based on experience, they really don't.
And even
support.
if they don't, do we have in our governmental agencies the expertise to bring them on as partners and really give them value for their partnership from corporate? We can't just say because you're corporate you need to come and give us money. So in as much as this festival is costing $12 million to run, maybe we alluded to the fact that they took it back because there was the threat of some private entity taking over. What's wrong with that? What is wrong with a private entity taking it over, running it privately, letting it run? The external vendors and small persons in Tobago will benefit, and there would never be a question or discussion like this about if we have in Tobago or not, because now you have private people who are interested in the bottom line running it, so it will become sustainable naturally, as opposed to government people who have different interests than the bottom line most times with these things. And as a result, there is not the going concern to ensure that, okay, we stay within spending parameters and these kind of things.
Okay, let me ask this question, right? If a function, let's forget Jazz Festival, if a function is held by the government, let me forget THE, where do you expect the profits to go back into?
That's where taxation comes in, and that's where you have to put in things to be able to collect revenues outside of trying to run the festival. So now your purpose as the Tobago House of Representatives, right? The Tobago House of Assembly, sorry. It redirects in terms of you are now monitoring to make sure things are done correctly, that your little vendors and these entrepreneurs in Tobago benefit from a piece of the pie, and you ensure that these persons are legitimate in terms of how they write up their funds and they are properly well taxed.
Right, but when you pull out wholly and you allow a private entity to come and manage and take over everything, you're not spending, you're not funding. I mean, come on, me and you. I'm a private entity, you representing THA, right? You pull out, you say, Jevon, take over.
Right.
Whatever you spend, we're not concerned. You want to have it, you want to do it, you do it. And after you realize I make how much ever, right? And then you come and tell me, no, well, out of way you make, you have to give back. My question is, who are you to come and tell me that I have to do such and such when you did not assist?
That's simple. I am the government, the government of Tobago. You ran this in my
my backyard,
in my backyard, and the law say I have taxes to collect. That's how it works. Government revenue is taxes. That's how it works. That's why I said the focus now has to switch, and it has to switch to them now monitoring and making sure that things are filed properly and the correct money is collected. Because now, obviously, with the corporations, they will try to hide money as best as possible.
Right.
And expense it and whatever else. So your duty now becomes to let me go, let me dig, let me investigate, see what's going on with all these funds. Are they being appropriated correctly? Do you have your invoices? I'm auditing now and these kind of things. But even to come back to you, though, I'm one that always agreed with public-private partnerships. I think that it's something that's lacking in Trinidad. But because we have such a difficult ease of doing business in Trinidad, we are ranked very high on that report yearly. People don't want to do public-private partnerships. Think about something like Ministry of Transport or even Ministry of Education, but we're not going too much there. If they had public-private partnerships and private people were running this, the efficiency of what would happen in some of these places.
No, I agree. But I see it should be in partnership. It shouldn't just be THA alone or any government body, or it shouldn't just be a private, entity.
It should be a
it should be
coalition.
because it's for us. It's to promote us. And when last, we've seen the Ministry of Tourism, like we know what we have here in our country. The rest of the world needs to see it. And I would love to see a greater drive with our Ministry of Tourism and persons, those different entities involved in
So
that.
here's our next perspective. We could look at it as well. Where should we go? Should we look at, let's say we are going on the route of a PPP, a public-private partnership. And should we look at a company that's local, regional, or even international? Because for Tobago Carnival, I think the consulting people who had them pull it off wasn't from Trinidad, you know. It wasn't Yuma or Tribe or any of these places. I think it was Barbados or Grenada, one of these small islands who assisted. So who, let's say we are the THA.
Right.
Who are we partnering with? Who should be our choice for jazz?
Okay. Jazz Festival is an internationally advertised event. I have no problem with somebody outside to help promote something for an international level. I mean, you said a company was from Barbados. They have
I'm
had
not sure. It
history.
was somewhere in the Caribbean.
Yeah.
Okay, but even if it's Barbados, right? They have had a history of holding successfuls, repeatedly successful jazz festivals. So I don't, at the end of the day, we shouldn't care who is the person responsible. Once at the end result, Tobago benefits, the people of Tobago benefits, and the economy of Tobago benefits.
Yeah, and
This is another episode of Life Matters, and I am your host, Latina Matter. Give us some insight into what is Miss Earth and what is so special about this pageant.
Okay, so like many pageants, there are a purpose behind the crown.
like Jazz Go, I'm sure there is a website. Once you Google Jazz Festival, you will get it. And support, especially if you love jazz. And with that, guys, we're going to take just a short break. But remember to join us here Monday, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays at 6 p.m. live for Sunset on Plus. The reruns are 11 p.m. nightly and 12 midday on the next day.
This is another episode of Life Matters, and I am your host, Latina Matter. Give us some insight into what is Miss Earth and what is so special about this pageant.
Okay, so like many pageants, there are a purpose behind the crown. So Miss Earth in particular, it's all about the awareness of the environment, and I'm basically an ambassador informing everyone to take care of their environment and their surroundings.
Take this moment, guys, to advocate the importance of mental health awareness, ensuring that this is something that is started to be placed in schools, in these school curriculums.
Yes.
Why aren't we having easy therapy access to schools, to parents, to the children? You know, that is something that we need to get some hands written about, right?
First book in the Bible is a book you've probably heard of. It's called Genesis.
Genesis comes from a Hebrew word. It's pronounced reshit, and it just means beginning.
Now, there's a lot of stories from the book of Genesis, and it's easy just to pull out a specific story and try to tell you what it might mean. But we think the best way to understand this book is to look at the book as a whole and show you how the whole thing is designed.
My name is Jesse McBarrow, and you are looking at Mending Minds. Tell us your Mending Mind moment.
I will say set goals.
A lot of people get so caught up in the what, they forget the why. There's this fixation of this is what I'm going to do, and they forget why.
Yeah.
You know, you pursue that in the first place.
Welcome back to the Sunset Show on PlusTV. Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays live at 6 p.m. And I'm here with Jevon and Camille, guys. I'm your host, Randolph. And we really want you to buckle up because we have some intense things to talk about for the rest of this program. And we start with, and I'm sure you're aware of it, that Mayaro massacre. Definitely, let's take a couple seconds for the persons who have passed, guys.
Exactly.
Yeah, may, you know, in terms of whatever they believe in, may they rest I'm not sure if I want to become too religious on any specific thing, but may they rest condolences to their families who have to continue living on. So what's the story? On Monday at midnight, 4 men were brutally killed at a farming campsite in Martha, St. All 4 men were from Martha, St. Couva. So based on a police report, they were asleep and they were awoken to the shouts of police, police. Men were dressed in police garb and they came and they executed the men. The women and children were allowed to escape, but they put a full-on execution, put them on the ground and then shot them in their heads at close range.
Yes, and based on the report, right, it was actually 2 women and a 1-year-old child, right, and they wasn't just allowed to escape. Apparently there was a debate into whether they should have left them alive or not. Now, let's go back. My thing with that is that they call them out saying it's police. And based on the reports from, I would like to believe, the women, they were tarnished in calm way, tactical way, police tactical way. How much times we have heard scenarios like this happening, right? Why isn't there, no, I'm not saying there's not, but who's making these uniforms? Where are they coming from, right? We are not saying that it is, right, members of the TTPS, right? Because I don't want to believe that, you know, this is where our country have reached, where we have an assassination group within. But where's this uniforms coming from?
No, I think that's a simple solution, because the police doesn't have a factory or a direct internal supply that makes these uniforms.
Exactly.
It will obviously be somebody external.
Exactly.
Probably somebody even who you can contact externally. And you know, these men, when it is they want to get something done, there is no end to where they would go. So they are probably going to the back end, understanding what the supply chain is, and getting these uniforms to be able to get their end goal solved.
And then, right, there were reports that complaints have been made before, right, based on threats, and nothing wasn't done about it. You know, so, you know, you're living in an area and you're trying to live an honest life, and you know the elements that are be pressuring you, right, gangsaying you in a sense, and you go to the relevant station, the police, and you're expecting them to, you know, take you seriously, right? And I mean,
no, for me, when it is you think about what happened here, they're put on the ground, guns are placed to their head, and they're killed execution style.
yes.
Now it's said that these were farmers. Obviously, there's not a robbery to get some watermelons or some peppers or something like that. So what was the basis? Has anybody spoken out? Any relatives spoken out about this?
They did say a female relative spoke out, said that they were threatened by gang leaders, saying that the farmers were taking their foot soldiers.
Right.
So those that worked for the gang, the farmers were thinking of helping them get out of that way of life, and let's get into farming as an honest trade. And because they were, I guess, encroaching on their territory, it seems like it's a retaliation then. You come in my yard, and this is what happens to you.
That is deeply saddening. Deeply saddening. So somebody who's out here, because you know most times you hear these stories is because there was some kind of gang-related activity, or you were in trouble with that kind of thing. You are telling me that these farmers, let's call them honest farmers, based on the information we have thus far, were trying to provide an avenue for young men to see a different way of life, and their punishment was execution. So it is now a crime in Trinidad, because we know that the gang members have somewhat more power than the police, based on the detection rate, the conviction rate in Trinidad.
Well, so it would seem.
Right, so it would seem, like I said, based on the detection and conviction rate in Trinidad. But it is now a crime to be good.
Well, yeah.
If I see you going down the road with Jevon, I need to just zip my mouth and let you go.
Well, it seems so. But then there's another swing, right? Because they said that the gang leader or leaders also demanded protection tax. So was it that they were recruiting their soldiers, or
They wasn't
is
paying
it
taxes.
was that they're not paying
Paying.
tax?
It could be a
Right?
a
Or is
matter
it
of both.
is it a matter of both?
It could be.
You recruiting me soldiers, yes. You're taking away me soldiers, so here, what, one less one of my people and them selling on the block. So you had to compensate that. So could it have been this?
And one would think that is the first time something like this happened, and it's not. It's not. There was an impersonation in as recent as April last year. 3 men, they were in Charlo Village, Penal, and men came in as police officers, and the same thing, they made them to lie on the ground, shot them in their head, exact same thing, women and children were spared. So that begs the question now, yes, these are events that have spanned almost a year apart, April last year to now, we're in March, but is that the state of our nation now? Where we have gang members who can impersonate police, and I don't know. I don't know if it is somebody walks into my house. I don't know if I can trust your uniform that's supposed to be a sign of justice for me now.
Well, I would say based on this, I have no trust. So you come on my door, bang, 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 especially in the middle of the night. Police. I ask you for your name,
Yeah.
your
Badge
number, what station you are assigned to, and hopefully I would have the time to verify that before they kick down my door.
Well, yeah.
Right?
And
And let me go further. This was a case where they came to your home. What about the incident that happened a while ago in Mayaro, where there were 2 alleged police officers in uniform, and I say alleged because they were in police uniform, that had a roadblock that were actually robbing people on the Mayaro stretch.
wow. You know, just to make a point there in terms of roadblocks, and it's a police partner who told me that when it is you're stopped in a roadblock, you can ask what the roadblock is for, and they have to give you an answer. It's either a stop and search or a check.
Right.
And if they don't have the documents to prove what they're doing, so let's say they are on a stop and check order at the point in time. With that order, they could take you out of your vehicle, search your vehicle, whatever, right? Stop and search. If it's a stop and check, all they can ask you for
Is your information.
your documents. And simple as this, Trinidad just may not know it. Plenty of people may not know what you just said there, Jevon. If you hear the bang, 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 ask questions. Officer name, badge, station attached to, who is your superior. It might have a slight chance of scaring them off.
Exactly. And another thing with these stop and checks, so to say, right? As far as the information I know, that any roadblock, there must be a visible, marked police vehicle as well as uniformed officers.
You have me wondering now if these guys have marked police vehicles
Because-
that they could move with now.
Yeah.
Because there were instances where people were reported stopped. I mean, there were videos. I remember a video with a taxi driver who was confronted by a so-called police officer in an unmarked vehicle, where he pulled in front of him and stopped on the highway claiming that he hit his vehicle, and he's a police officer. In the video, never presented any ID, right? And the driver decided that he wasn't stopping,
Right.
right? In the video, show he almost bunks down the alleged officer and then made his way to the station. So, right? So, you see, there's a lot of things that goes on that people are not aware of,
So
right? You know?
is
Yeah, I
necessary.
feel our TTPS need to come out with more public service announcements, at least to have us more aware,
Educate the
especially
the
with these
citizens.
types of
Yes.
crime. And what I don't like is that we know our police service, our servicemen and women, they work very hard in this country.
Yes.
And the more crimes we hear by these perpetrators, it's tarnishing the uniform, right? And they need our support now. So I don't want to believe, I mean, it's all still under investigation. I don't want to believe that it's the police is part of this. I want to
I don't
believe
believe so.
it's a rogue band of criminals, tarnishing our protective services, and we need them in this fight
and they are
against
playing
crime.
on the respect that individuals would still have
For the
on-
police.
For the police.
Correct.
Yeah.
And well,
You know?
good individuals possibly
Exactly.
in this case. And I'm sure that they have, I mean to say, yes, we have our issues with the police system, but I'm sure they have, because the bullets have to be reported how they're used, if you understand. So if it's an actual police officer, how are you going to talk about those bullets? But also just to come back to something that you said, Camille, believe it or not, there are things out there. I came across it once, and I'm sure many Trinidadians did what I did. It was one of the deputy commissioners of police giving some advice on something about the police service. Look at that, I can't even remember. But the TikTok,
that was the video.
The man stand up in front of his camera talking. That's the best he probably knew. And it was a 7-minute long, probably a bunch of valuable information.
Yes.
But now because of society and the short attention spans we have, especially with social media, it would have been lost in the loop.
Correct.
So it has to be an interest on our part as well as citizens to make sure that we know what's going on, what are our rights, what are the things we should be asking officers in the event of a meetup and that kind of thing. But definitely a really, really sad story. And once again, condolences to those mothers and those children. And really, I hope that somebody could find a way to make peace with it and regroup and try to move on somehow.
From reports, they are still fearing for their life. So how could you make peace if you know that you're still not safe?
This is
because
one
it's still up in the air. We're not too sure.
This is one that leaves you just speechless. But guys, on that sad note, rest in peace to them again. And we're going to take a break. But remember, join us here every day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday at 6 p.m. with replays at 11 p.m. nightly.
Book in the Bible is a book you've probably heard of. It's called Genesis.
Genesis comes from a Hebrew word. It's pronounced reshit, and it just means beginning.
Now, there's a lot of stories from the book of Genesis, and it's easy just to pull out a specific story and try to tell you what it might mean. But we think the best way to understand this book is to look at the book as a whole and show you how the whole thing is designed.
My name is Jesse McBarrow, and you are looking at Mending Minds. Tell us your Mending Mind moment.
I will say set goals.
A lot of people get so caught up in the what, they forget the why. There's this fixation of this is what I'm going to do, and they forget why you pursue that in the first place.
This is another episode of Life Matters, and I am your host, Latina Mata. Give us some insight into what is Miss Earth and what is so special about this pageant.
Okay, so like many pageants, there are a purpose behind the crown. So Miss Earth in particular, it's all about the awareness of the environment, and I'm basically an ambassador informing everyone to take care of their environment and their surroundings.
Take this moment, guys, to advocate the importance of mental health awareness, ensuring that this is something that is started to be placed in schools, in these school curriculums.
Yes.
Why aren't we having easy therapy access to schools, to parents, to the children? You know, that is something that we need to get some hands written about, right?
All right, welcome back, guys. We're here with the Sunset Evening Show on Plus, and we stream, guys, on Tego TV. You can get us broadcasting live on Facebook and also YouTube. So whatever your preference, make sure you always have it close to you so you can see us Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays live at 6 p.m. So we want to talk about that virus hoax with the paracetamol, the Machupo virus hoax.
Well, I thought it was a macho virus hoax, sir. That's what I saw that, and I was like, what?
That's a Trinidadian virus with men. That's the virus we're talking about here.
Right? So what it actually is, guys, Machupo mammarina virus, which is also known as the Bolivian hemorrhagic fever, also known as black typhus, is a hemorrhagic fever and it originates out of Bolivia. All right? And the disease was first encountered in 1962 in the Bolivian village of San Juan, hence the name Bolivian hemorrhagic fever. Right? Now, what I don't like, I'm staying it off the bat. You see, when we're using our social media tools to spread incorrect information, especially when it comes to health issues, we've all been through the pandemic. Everybody's still, yes, we're 4 years out of it. We're still on edge with it. You mean to tell me, whoever these smart people were decided, hey, you know what, we got through that, let me send an next virus thing their way. Like, really? Was that necessary?
Right. And for the folks, right, it had several health agencies and medical associations across the globe has concluded that the paracetamol P500 pill containing Machupo virus is a hoax. So all those posts you are seeing, it is false. We just want to let you all know here at Plus that it is false. So you can go ahead and you can get your paracetamol tablets for whatever ailments you may have and use it safely.
And more so, let's make sure and let them know a lockdown is not coming.
No lockdown.
A lockdown is not coming. This Machupo, the Bolivian hemorrhagic fever virus, it is not in Trinidad. As far as we know, based on reports, it is not in Trinidad. Like Jevon said, you know, you can relax, you can buy a paracetamol if it's something that you need for your daily care. But that leads to a really large problem that we have in society today. It's a problem, so let me put it in perspective so people can understand where you can understand where I'm coming from. You know, there was a statement several years ago when fast food came out, and it was that fast food gave people the impression that they don't need to be hungry. Think about it for a minute. You know, those are hungry right now? Food. I don't need to, and obviously the level of cooking went down for different reasons. Social media makes everybody's opinion now feel like it's gospel. Everybody feels like they have, now I don't want to say a voice, but everybody feels like they have an audience and they can do what they want with this audience, whether it's big or small. And this is a simple thing, leveraging on people's emotions, knowing that we recently came out of a pandemic, that if I spread something like this, the effect it will have on people. And there are people out there just leveraging what emotion can I play on? And we've seen it many times in Trinidad. I'm sure you could remember many examples with people just putting out as of midnight tonight, and there's some announcement and everybody is scampering and wondering, hey, did this happen? And there was recently something with a fake profile with the whole KFC fiasco, the Prestige Holdings. They had a fake profile with the individual who makes statements, and they had to, and the CEO of Prestige Holdings had to retract and state that this was not somebody representing their brand, and so it was deemed that it was deemed that the person was operating out of fake profile. Right. Now, you see, the thing is that, you know, when it comes to fake news, I think that when it is people post certain stuff, right, and it happens to be fake news, then there should be some kind of charge or rebuttal for that, you know, right? I think that way it will teach people how to use the platform more responsibly. Right? That's a difficult task, though.
But I'm studying we have a cybersecurity.
Correct. I was just about to say that.
I mean, they should be on these things. I mean, I'm not, you know, au courant about their inner workings, but I mean, things like this, as I said, you're spreading news about health, people's safety. We know the climate that we live in. Something like this, we could easily cause a panic.
And it can be done. I think it can be done because basically you just broaden the spectrum when it comes to child pornography.
Okay.
Child pornography, once it is, you don't have to be the original person, but once you post, repost and stuff, you can be charged. Can this whole law be broadened when it comes to making fake posts, especially when it comes to anything that could cause unrest in society?
I'm definitely willing to do some more reading in terms of if there is a gap missing in the laws. But from a layman perspective, if I want to post this, Because we know once you post this and you have the right people seeing it, it will spread like
Exactly.
wildfire. Think about this for a minute. This may not have been the first attempt. This is the attempt that whoever did this went viral. They probably had 100 attempts, one success. But if I'm doing this, I'm going to have a burner. A phone that as soon as I'm finished, that's attached to some public Wi-Fi system. I throw it to the side and it has no trace to me because I used a fake ID to buy it. So how do we mitigate that? I'm just trying to show the difficulty level in this scenario for the law enforcement, for the lawmakers, for everybody in terms of the dynamic.
Well, I would say, well, then that goes on to the responsibility of what platform you're using. For example, the same way that I have Facebook has people scrolling through Facebook and making sure that information is ciphered, then the onus has to go to someone.
And in this particular case, though, with regards to this particular fake news, imagine if, what was the fallout of this in terms of people in emergency situations avoiding that particular drug, the paracetamol?
But you know where my mind went to, guys? Like, you know, you see in those spy novels and those movies, sleeper cells. My mind is racing now thinking, what if we have a network of people just working round the clock to destabilize
what is a
the
sleeper
nation?
cell?
You know those agents, they call them, they either work for a government agency or, you know, they're part of another fraction, right? Another country that might want to infiltrate your security systems and whatnot. So my mind is thinking, okay, because we're seeing a lot of this. It's almost, I want to say it's like a pattern, but like every now and again is always some sort of fake news. So is it that people on the ground, these elements doing their dirty work behind the scenes and just want to cause confusion? Again, that's where my mind went because, you know, I read a lot of spy novels.
What do you think they are targeting? Are they targeting the country or are they targeting the pharmaceutical industry itself?
Or is it a joke?
You think it's just a
For
joke?
some of them,
Because
I
we
think
all
it's a
know the
joke.
pharmaceutical community, they actually make the most amount of money
Right.
in the world.
Yeah.
So from another perspective, it
So
could
if
be
you
a
have-
hit from a
Exactly.
competitor.
It
That's
could be.
actually an excellent angle to look at, you know.
That's
It
true.
could be a hit from a
Yeah.
competitor.
Just saying. Right?
That-
we are just we're called casualty of war.
Correct.
Yeah, if it is you don't get your drug and something happens to you, you're just one. I'm looking at the millions I'm going to make on my bottom line.
Exactly.
If I could steer you away from this particular drug and bring you across to me.
So,
Do you think that that gives rise to the need for censorship, and can censorship actually be done to mitigate these scenarios? Because I mean to say everybody has the freedom to post and do whatever they want, or at least they think so, because there is little to no consequence for posting. Was it worst that can happen? Facebook will ban you for a week, and afterwards you're back on Facebook and you're posting as normal.
Right? And that is why I said that I find that more stricter penalties should be implemented with people who is using this platform to post these fake news and stuff like that. You know, it shouldn't be just you get banned, because you get banned, you could form a next page, you know, right? I find that, you know, when if you can find out who is these people, right? You publicly, right? When you penalize them, you do it publicly so that it will send a message.
And it needs to be done. Let's take a local scenario, because we have a big problem with Sahara dust. And I know, because I have a lot of people who have sinus issues, and I know a lot of them run to, and this is not an advert, we're not getting sponsored by any of these people, but let's call it Drug X,
Right.
right? Let's say they did this for Drug X, and we have a bad Sahara spell, yellow or red level, and everybody is turned off from this.
Yeah.
Imagine the fallout from that. You're going to have people sick. It will lead to probably overpopulation in the hospital, incapacity to deal with it, and that will just spiral because of one person's ability to share a post and get this kind of viral response on it.
so
Yeah.
yeah.
That's
It's
dangerous.
scary, but I mean, when you're going down the road of censorship, I find it's a tricky thing, because you know, you don't want to, we have certain rights. We don't want to ban everything. But at the same time, when it comes to, if you're harming someone, you're promoting hate speech.
What are these rights you're speaking about?
All human rights.
Human rights as?
Of freedom of speech.
What is
I
really
could say what I want.
What is freedom of speech?
It's what I deem it to be.
What you deem it to be. Okay. So in other words, basically what you're saying is that freedom of speech is what you deem it to be. So if your freedom of speech, I feel threatened, then it's my right to have you locked up and charged because a threat is considered what I perceive it to be.
And
That's
that
right.
definitely
Yes.
is a conversation for another time. So guys, just to recap, paracetamol, and I want to get the right one for you. What is it? Paracetamol, the P500 pill. It
Yes.
is fake, your normal paracetamol. It's okay to take. The Bolivian hemorrhagic fever, it is not present in Trinidad. The place is not going to lock down, so you can join us every day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday here at 6 p.m.
This is another episode of Life Matters, and I am your host, Latina Mata. Give us some insight into what is Miss Earth and what is so special about this pageant.
Okay, so like many pageants, there are a purpose behind the crown. So Miss Earth in particular, it's all about the awareness of the environment, and I'm basically an ambassador informing everyone to take care of their environment and their surroundings.
Take this moment, guys, to advocate the importance of mental health awareness, ensuring that this is something that is started to be placed in schools, in these school curriculums.
Yes.
Why aren't we having easy therapy access to schools, to parents, to the children? You know, that is something that we need to get some hands written about, right?
First book in the Bible is a book you've probably heard of. It's called Genesis.
Genesis comes from a Hebrew word. It's pronounced reshit, and it just means beginning.
Now, there's a lot of stories from the book of Genesis, and it's easy just to pull out a specific story and try to tell you what it might mean. But we think the best way to understand this book is to look at the book as a whole and show you how the whole thing is designed.
My name is Jesse McBarrow, and you are looking at Mending Minds. Tell us your Mending Mind moment.
I will say Sadhguru's.
A lot of people get so caught up in the what, they forget the why. There's this fixation of this is what I'm going to do, and they forget why.
Yeah.
You know, you pursue that in the first place.
Welcome back, guys. We're here with Sunset, the evening show on PlusTV. Reminder again, where can you find us? We stream on tegotv.com. You can find us live streaming on Facebook as well as YouTube. So wherever you're comfortable, make sure and view us there Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays at 6 p.m. live. So we're going into a really, really difficult topic here. But it's international news, and it's news that I don't think people are too much aware of as they should be. And we need more people aware of this. We need people praying. We need people doing whatever they can in their small way to help with this. I don't know if you all knew or know, but on Monday, the Prime Minister of Haiti would have given an immediate resignation. So where has this come from? It has stemmed from a gang called the Cannibal Gang, basically taking over Haiti. They have come together with a couple other gangs. They broke into the prison, released over
100 prisoners.
3,700
Yes.
prisoners.
So right
They
now the
have
prisons
seized
are
parts
empty.
of They have seized parts of the capital. They have burnt places, put people out of their houses and that kind of thing, in an effort to rally support from the international giants, maybe to get armies and Navy SEALs and that kind of thing to come across and strengthen the police support and force in Haiti, the Prime Minister left.
Yeah.
And when he tried to re-enter, both through Haiti directly and through the Dominican Republic, he was completely blocked. And get this about this gang, yeah? They're led by a man known as Barbecue. His actual name is Jimmy Cheriza. He's a fellow police officer, so he knows the ins and outs of the police service and the police system.
Yep.
Yeah? And their gang is a cannibal gang. And it says what it suggests. There are videos with members of the gang when persons are burning from the places that they have attacked, ripping off parts of their burnt, seared, or cooked flesh and eating it
Randolph,
as
you
a
serious about
sign
this?
of strength.
Cannibal.
The cannibal gang. And this raises a host of issues, guys. Human rights. Just because Haiti is poor and we've known them to just be poor and unsuccessful so much years, are we actually doing enough? I saw that the US is putting out a couple million, I think it was like 120 million towards it, that kind of thing. But what is enough? What really is enough for us to help them? Because at the end of the day, these are humans.
Well, what I like to ask is that initially, the whole uprising was that they wanted the Prime Minister out.
Right.
Right? And they made promises. They say once he's out, they would step aside and allow proper government, proper management to take over. Now he's out. We are yet to wait and see what is really going to be the outcome of that.
Because they're also saying they don't want outside interference. They want to be able to have their elections and whatnot in Haiti done by Haitians. So they don't, so yes, they need the aid, but at the same time, they don't want outside interference.
If you could lock down a capital, you putting people out of their houses, displacing them totally, because I saw some of the videos. It's shanty towns these people are living in as safe areas. Little pieces of galvanized put together. I saw a video with this little girl. She was shot from her back coming through her stomach. And she is just there in a little shanty town, galvanized, put up. A family of 6 on one single person mattress. What if they are so displaced? And based on the conversation from the interview with the gentleman, right? He wasn't from a totally poverty-stricken zone in Haiti. So, what voting right he will have really? The narrative is going to be completely controlled.
But and like I said that, okay, you're saying that they want no outside elements. They want the Haitians to vote. Right now, who is controlling?
The gangs.
So exactly.
This,
so
the
is
same
this
former police officer?
Is this a secret or underlow ploy to actually have him be elected as the next?
Well, that's what I was thinking. And you look at these things and you think, okay, well, that's happening up in the Caribbean. That has nothing to do with us in Trinidad. But then you're hearing, we have our little spots of gang violence. Thank God we haven't reached here. But I actually saw in the Express they were asking, you know, do we think that we could have a takeover like that again that we had in 1990?
It's very possible, but I want to add accident to injury here, because look at this, sir. In 2020, the U.S. government accused this man Barbecue of organizing a series of attacks over 5 days throughout Port-au-Prince.
Yes.
Then in 2022. The UN added its own sanctions that he engaged in acts that threatened peace, security, and stability. Now, we have a bunch of people, humans here, and we have a United Nations organizations. A big part of their goal, a big part of their responsibility is human rights, as we just spoke about. So if you knew about this man in 2020, you knew about him in 2022, we are now 4 years later. And you telling me he had the chance to build to build camaraderie with other gangs and take over this, make the Prime Minister flee for help, make him resign, and now you're going to control the narrative of a vote, and nobody is stepping in.
Randolph.
Over oil spill, over a little oil war, all kind of planes you've seen in the sky all over the place. But the Haitians, the poor Haitians, suffering little children, 4 years and nothing.
One question I ask you, Randolph. Where they get the guns from?
Well, I was just about to ask
That's
that.
one question I want to ask. Where did they get the guns
Somebody
from?
is funding this.
It is not nobody local. Obviously, they are being helped by foreign entities, right? This is just another, I don't want to use the political, but it's just a cover. The playing with people's emotions and the playing with people's minds. And I'm going to
I would
not
actually
dive into it too much because I'm going to, I may sound personal, but
no song personal.
right? Right? Just like the stories with the Gaza and the Palestine Israelites, right? Are these newscasts only showing one side of it?
And Haiti doesn't have, at least within the last couple years, I mean, historically, many years ago, they had the war problems. But Haiti hasn't had any big war with another country. Well, nobody's going to war with Haiti, sad to say.
Right? And then ask the question. Haiti had to pay over, I believe it's $500 million back to repatriation too, right? Where they getting money to? Exactly. And they still do it.
When it is you really study the history of Haiti, because I went down in terms of a summary basis, in terms of looking to try and rationalize in my mind how Haiti got to the place that they are. And it has a lot to do with narrative. When I say narrative, a lot of the situations that happened to them were perpetuated differently because of the persons who control it. So when slavery ended, the persons who went away and owned media houses or any kind of influence in those days were the persons who owned the slaves in the first place. And as much as yes, slavery is finished, I am not going to paint you in the true suffering ways that you had. And that spiraled and spiraled and spiraled. And my thing is, I'm coming back to the UN and places like the US, especially UN, who have sanctions to actually bring peace and ensure human rights are upheld. And you see all these pretty ads and the promotions on social media and think that, oh gosh, UN is such a nice place or whatever else. Why 4 years? Both the US and the UN made their notices about this man, and this man is walking free.
Yes.
And this man is walking free.
And terrorizing a country.
Terrorizing
And innocent lives
children,
are being lost
innocent
daily.
lives.
And let's go back. Let me go back to Osama bin Laden. Let me go back to the Middle East where they've sent in hundreds of thousands of troops. Why they know this going on in Haiti for so much years? Why they didn't send troops there to control this?
Is it that there's nothing to gain? Because everybody was taken out of Haiti, right?
Well,
so what is left now?
Well, it could be that there's nothing to gain, or there is something to gain. It's just how they gain it.
With barbecue. And the sad thing is, I looked at some clips. School hasn't been going on since about January. Children have not had school. Remember, some of these children would depend on the public school feeding program for lunches, whatever else. So they are now in a state of malnutrition. I even saw some reports where persons up there eating mud cakes because they just want to get there. They're taking the mud, baking it, and eating mud cakes to have something in their stomach so that they wouldn't feel the growling and the upset feeling. I saw another clip with a nun, and she has a refuge home for children. And whereas her population before this was, let's say, 100, 200, it's spiraling over 5,000 children in a space meant for, let's say, 1,000 children. How do you deal with that? So there are those people who want to help. Are they really getting the support? The support is lacking.
They are not.
It is
right?
grossly lacking.
They are not. The Americans made the decision the other day to pull out their non-essential representative.
And apparently relatives as well. Somebody was telling me that once it is a Haitian has somebody in the United States, a relative, a friend, or whatever else, they are offering you refuge. But what about the thousands who are just at the bottom of the line? These are the persons we're supposed to care for the most. The policies are supposed to be in place for them. If the policies are in place for the people who already know somebody and who already can afford a flight, who already have a visa, then these policies don't make sense.
Right.
Simply put, I don't mean to make it sound bad, but these policies make no sense at all. These policies, all this money being spent, should be in position for the persons at the very bottom of the line who can't help themselves. Why are we helping people who can't help themselves?
Well, and I ask the question, right? Is the policy only there for those who are deemed important?
And what
right?
they want to
And
get from it, as you said
exactly.
earlier.
So the policies only only provide for those who there is profit to gain from it.
And we're gonna definitely have to have a follow up on this in terms of conversation on policy, guys. But definitely, guys, we have to pray. And whatever ways, I'm not sure of the ways. If it is you can donate, I'm sure there are avenues you can donate to help Haiti. You can definitely pray for them. Make yourselves aware as well what's going on in the world, not just because it's Haiti, but we're gonna come back after this commercial break. So remember, guys, before we go to break, we're here Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday at 6 p.m. We stream on Tego TV, Facebook, and YouTube. So find us where you're comfortable.
First book in the Bible is a book you've probably heard of. It's called Genesis.
Genesis comes from a Hebrew word. It's pronounced reshit, and it just means beginning.
Now, there's a lot of stories from the book of Genesis, and it's easy just to pull out a specific story and try to tell you what it might mean. But we think the best way to understand this book is to look at the book as a whole and show you how the whole thing is designed.
My name is Jesse McBarrow, and you are looking at Mending Minds. Tell us your Mending Mind moment.
I will say Sadhgurus.
A lot of people get so caught up in the what, they forget the why. There's this fixation of this is what I'm going to do, and they forget why you pursue that in the first place.
This is another episode of Life Matters, and I am your host, Latina Mata. Give us some insight into what is Miss Earth and what is so special about this pageant.
Okay, so like many pageants, there are a purpose behind the crown. So Miss Earth in particular, it's all about the awareness of the environment, and I'm basically an ambassador informing everyone to take care of their environment and their surroundings.
Take this moment, guys, to advocate the importance of mental health awareness, ensuring that this is something that is started to be placed in schools, in these school curriculums.
Yes.
Why aren't we having easy therapy access to schools, to parents, to the children? You know, that is something that we need to get some hands written about, right?
Welcome back, guys. You're here with us on Sunset, the evening show on PlusTV. Remember, where do you find us? TegoTV.com. We stream live on Facebook as well as YouTube, and you'll find us here at 6 p.m. on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays. So after today, try not to miss us too much, but you'll see us next week, Monday, for sure. So we spoke about a lot of hefty things this afternoon, this evening here, guys. What are some of the reminders we want to leave the folks at home with?
Well, Tobago Jazz, it's still on, folks.
Oh, yes.
Go on, support. I mean, forget the whole THA and stuff like that. Remember the amount of small fries, the average individuals who benefit from an event like this. You know, the fish and chips, the chicken, well, Tobago's fish and chips, right? Right?
Crab and dumpling.
Crab and,
Yes.
you know, all these small people who, you know, they use this to generate, you know, income, you
Tourism
know.
is their
So
main,
go out, right, and support, you know,
Yeah, and what about that this pharmaceutical hoax again?
The
Remind the viewers,
the matriple virus.
is not in Trinidad.
It's not in Trinidad. It hasn't arrived here. Paracetamol, we could still get
Yes,
it. We're still,
And definitely with all those who have passed, both in that Mayaro massacre, in Haiti,
Condolences again.
condolences to all the family members. And we gotta pray, guys. And I mean, if you're praying, people, we have to pray. And we have to stand together, even in Trinidad, because it could happen to us. You never know. We have to stand together and fight for different ways. I wish I could play that Michael Jackson song when it is they sang it to Haiti and remixed it with all these things, all these singers. That would be so awesome to play at the end, but we didn't have it prepped. Sing it at home, guys. Go on YouTube. Let's have some solidarity with Haiti. On that note, guys, that brings us to the end of Sunset, the evening show on PlusTV. We were glad to be with you this week, and we look forward to journeying with you next week, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, as we go through exciting current topics that you want to hear about, the conversations you want to engage in. So keep close to us. We'll see you next Monday on Tego TV, Facebook streaming live, or YouTube for Sunset, the evening show on Plus at 6 p.m. Enjoy the rest of your week, guys, and take care.
Have a good weekend.
Oh, great one.
This is another episode of Life Matters, and I am your host, Latina Mata. Give us some insight into what is Miss Earth and what is so special about this pageant.
Okay, so like many pageants, there are a